Hi, this is Rocco from Unmute.pro. We're going to try a practical approach to Sibelius. So what I recommend you doing is start your Sibelius software, follow the video step by step and try to copy what I do. Every now and then I'm going to give you the chance to stop the video, catch up with the work that I've done so far and try to do it practically. There's no way to go through this software learning without really practicing it. In this video, we're going to learn a few basic functions of Sibelius. To do that, we're going to use the song When the Sands Go Marching In, and we're going to write a part for the piano and for a trumpet. When you open Sibelius, it's going to give you the option of what type of project you want to open. Let's start with a blank project. As you can see, the project is empty, so you need to add an instrument. Select the type of instrument that you want to choose. They're divided by family. So let's go for a trumpet, for example, a trumpet in B flat. And then let's choose a piano. If you click on OK, then Sibelius will prepare the score for you. Because the trumpet is a transposing instrument, it means that the instrument plays differently from what is written. You can choose to see the trumpet part written out like a trumpet player would see it, or how it sounds precisely. For now, let's choose concert pitch, so how it actually sounds. Let's choose the time signature, which in this case would be 4/4. Because we didn't select any bar, the arrow is now blue, and that means that Sibelius will put a 4/4 on whichever bar you click on next. It's now time to input the first note. Select the first bar and press A. Now Sibelius will place a crotchet at the beginning of the bar. You can add more just by clicking on the A space. If you want the first note to be erased, it's easier just to erase the first note by pressing backspace. You can now change the pitch of each note by clicking on them, and then as soon as they're blue, you can press arrow up or down. That's how you change the pitch. If you need to change the duration of the note, you can select it and then change it using a different length on the keypad on the right hand side. You can also decide the length of the note that you're about to input by clicking on the keypad first and then type the name of the letter that you want to input. Right now we need a semibreve, which is a 4 beats note. So you can press the semibreve on the keypad on the right hand side and then you press the letter G. Now let's select crotchet again. We input the crotchet C. You will see that Sibelius is now giving you a C that is too high. That's because Sibelius will go for the C closest to the last note that you had in that melody. If you need to move everything of an octave up or down, select the note that you want to be moved and then press Ctrl up or down and everything will be moved of an octave. We now go ahead and repeat the same process for bar 3 and 4. Once again, if you need a rest on the first beat, it's easier to input a note and then erase the first beat. The following phrase is identical, so it's easier to copy and paste. So Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V on Windows or Command-C, Command-V on Macintosh. Just highlight the section that you want copied and then paste it. To add a bar, press Ctrl-B or Command-C on Macintosh. We're going to need a few, so let's add a few bars right now. Because we need minims now, let's select minims from the keypad on the right hand side and now finish the melody. You can use the keyboard, you can use the mouse, or you can use your piano. You can use the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like the notes. And you can select the length on the keypad on the right hand side. Let's now write the rest of the melody. Once again, if you need the rest, it's easier to input the note and then press backspace to erase it. And we keep inputting the note using the right length from the keypad on your right hand side. When you need a dotted value, for example in this case we have a dotted minim there, We just press the minim and then the dot that you see at the right-hand corner of your keypad. Let's now finish the melody. Now take your time to copy the whole melody. Stop this video and start it again once you're done copying the melody. Brilliant! Now the melody is finished and we can try to change a few things on your score, for example the bar line. We have many options. You can have a double line, you can have a repeat line, you can have an ending line, and so on. Let's now write the bass notes. This is in bass clef, as you can see at the beginning of this line. And we can introduce a chord. Once again, sometimes it's easier to erase the first beat using the backspace. Now, to write the chord, the most effective way is to start from one of the notes. For example, in this case, I start from the note E. Once the E is in place, you can ask Sibelius to write a note that is an interval above that one. For example, in this case, let's ask Sibelius to write a note a third above by pressing number 3. The following note, being a C, would be a fourth above, and therefore we press number 4. Like that, we just wrote a whole chord without even touching the mouse. Now that we have that chord, the easiest thing to do, because it's a repeating pattern, is to copy that chord and paste it in the following section. Let's now move the bass note to a G in the second half. Now let's select the whole bar and copy it to the following section because it's exactly the same. Because the input of note is quite slow, sometimes the best thing you can do is to select the whole bar and just copy and paste it. Once it's copied there, it's very easy to modify whatever you need. Modifying is often faster than just writing from scratch. For example, in this case, the chord that we need is not a C major anymore, it's a G major. So I just copied from C major and then I moved note by note all the way to getting a G dominant chord. Like this. F, B, and D. There you go. Copy and paste, once again, is often the fastest way to go. You can copy this bar to the following bar, copy and paste. Then, because we go back to a C major, the best thing to do is to copy the C major bar that we made early on. Copy and paste it once again. If you need an accidental, like a flat, a sharp, or a natural, you select the note that you want that accidental on, and then select from the keypad the sign for flat, sharp, or natural. In this case, we're going for a B flat. Let's change the bass note as well. Remember that accidentals, like flats, sharps, and naturals, will last for the whole bar. So if you put a B flat at the beginning of the bar, it's going to stay flat until the end of it. Let's now copy a C major bar once again. Copy and paste. Let's make this last note a G chord. And then, on the last bar, this is going to be a C major again. Sibelius will adapt your score and the size of your page depending on how many lines you have there. So you will see a page added when your score gets too crowded. In this case, it's moving to a second page. Let's add a bar by pressing Ctrl B once again, so that we can create a repeat sign. Let's end on a C, and we can copy the initial upbeat, the anacrusis, at the end of the composition for the repeat. Now let's press on this bar line and add the repeat bar line. Once again, Ctrl B to add a bar. And let's go for an ending line at the end of the composition. Now we can choose ending number 1 and ending number 2. And that means that the second time that we play this composition, instead of going to ending number 1, we simply go to ending number 2. Let's write a nice chord at the end of this. C major. Let's now work on articulation. Articulation is the kind of attack of each note that you have. It can be really accented, very smooth, slurred, and so on. Once again, in the keypad, you can see the different type of articulations that you have there. You can also make it slurred by selecting the notes that you want slurred and then pressing the letter S. You can have the line, which means it's a very smooth articulation. You can have the dot, it means it's a very short note. You can have the accent. We can tell the player to keep using the same articulation as before, putting similar in the following line. That means the player will use the same articulation that has been provided until now. You can input text by going on the Text tab. Let's now add some dynamics, like forte in this case, which means loud. To do that, you can type Command E or Ctrl E to add expression markings such as dynamics. You can also add tempo marking, like in this case, this should be an allegro. If you press Ctrl E, then you can add the dynamic that you want. It could be piano, P, mezzo piano, MP, forte, mezzo forte, and so on. To make your score easy to read and to rehearse, you can add rehearsal marks. For example, let's put a letter A and a letter B here. You can also select a bar line and then type Shift A to do that. Let's now add a crescendo, which means that the sound is going to get louder. Select the bar that you want the crescendo to be on, and then press H for a crescendo or Shift H for a diminuendo. To add a chord symbol, press Ctrl K or Command K and then input the chord that you would like if it's a normal text. You will see that sometimes Sibelius will change the position of certain items. Sibelius will adapt to the layout of your score depending on how many items you have in there. So it will always try to avoid clashing of different signs. You can always move the positions. You can change the type of note heads that you have. For example, right now, we can copy the main melody and put it on the piano part to suggest to the piano player that the trumpet will start before them. Using the crosses instead of normal note heads will inform the piano player that the trumpet player begins before them, playing an upbeat. Let's now try to add another instrument. Let's select the flute. Let's also add a clarinet in B flat. Press OK. We can now copy the trumpet melody in the flute part. To do that, double-click on the first bar of the trumpet part, so that the whole line is going to be selected. Then copy and paste using the usual Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. And now copy everything in the flute part. As you can see, when we click on the transposing score, the flute will stay exactly where it was, while the clarinet and the trumpet part will be automatically transposed. Now let's select the flute part. By using arrows up and down, you can move the whole score up and down. If you're working on just the flute part, let's have a look at the flute-only part. You can do that by pressing the little plus sign on the right-hand side. And you can select just the flute part from the list of different instruments. That will show you just the flute layout. You can change the layout by pressing on the bar line that you want to modify. In this case, by pressing Enter, you can send that bar line to the following row. Organizing your score like this will make it much easier to read. Now let's have a look at the trumpet part. Once again, you can organize your layout by pressing Enter to create a new line. You can change the distance between bars by clicking on a bar and just dragging up and down with your mouse. Now let's try to add the title to the composition. To get the title, go on the text box and select Title. As you can see, the title is now copied in every single one of the different parts. Let's try to add lyrics to this song. To add the first line of lyrics, you input the words. As soon as you press space, Sibelius will immediately send you to the following note. So in this case, go, space, march. If you have words that cover more than one note, you can press the hyphen and Sibelius will divide the word over the two notes. When all the saints. In this case, mar hyphen ching. Once again, we have one word for two different notes, so use the hyphen to divide the two. And remember that when you press the space, Sibelius will immediately send you to the following note. You can decide to move words around so that they don't clash with your bar lines. You can also choose to change the distance and the positioning of the note within the bar by dragging the note left or right with your mouse.